Most car people have a list of cars that they really like, and I have something similar. It includes things like the Koenigsegg Agera, the Ferrari Enzo, and this, the Mercedes AMG E63s. I have dreamt about driving this car for a while, ever since they announced the W213 chassis with this 4-liter twin-turbo V8 with over 600 horsepower, and all-wheel drive, by the way. Yeah, on paper, this thing looks crazy, and it's even crazier to drive, and I'll show you guys that later. But the question I want to ask is, can you live with this thing every day? Because that's sort of the point, right? It's a super sedan, and it has supercar power and numbers, but can you actually live with it? But before we do that, I want to give a special shout out to Mercedes-Benz of Wilsonville for giving me the keys to this E63s. Links to their social media as well as their website will be down in the description. Since today's review is going to mostly focus on the livability of the E63, I want to start by talking about the interior. So because this is based on the regular E-Class, we have a lot of really nice features in here, like optional massaging seats. We have heated and ventilated seats in the front. We have a heated steering wheel. The armrests are also heated in this car, which is a really nice option to have. It's super cool when you have short sleeves on and it's a little cold outside. It just keeps your arms nice and toasty. We also have the new S-Class style steering wheel with the touchpads on both sides. This is great because when you're going down the road, you can control your gauge cluster and your infotainment system with ease, without having to move your hands off of the steering wheel. So really helpful. Speaking of infotainment systems, this is the familiar Mercedes-Benz command system. It is nice and snappy. We have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in here, so nice and convenient for anybody with a smartphone. We also have these dynamic seats too. So when we're taking corners to the left, the right bolster will push me to the left side of the car. For taking a right turn, the left bolster will push me to the right side of the car. Really nice for when you want to go out and have a spirited drive. It just keeps you nice and planted in the car. The rear seat area is also nice and spacious. I know my wife was back there the other day while we were driving around with my father-in-law, and she mentioned how comfortable it was to be back there versus some other cars that we've driven. So yeah, the back seat on this thing is excellent. We also have a Burmeister sound system. We have adaptive cruise control, we have lane keeping assist features, blind spot, you name it, surround view camera as well, so when you're pulling in and out of parking lots, you can see exactly where your car is from the outside. And the coolest thing about that system is when you're pulling up to a curb, the parking sensors as well as the camera will light up if you're getting too close to it, and that is super cool, so you don't have to destroy your front bumper on those tall parking curbs. Really, really nice feature. And overall, this interior is just a nice place to be. I took a 2-hour trip out to Oregon Raceway Park the other day, and I was perfectly comfortable. I stuck the cruise on. I had my heated seat going, and of course, you could have a massage while you're going out there. I think there's several options for like hot stone massage and things like that. So yeah, great place to be on a daily basis. One of the great things about having a super sedan in general is that most of them are subtly styled as compared to their non-AMG or non-performance variants. For instance, the E63s, I think if you were to take the badging off of the trunk as well as the fenders, most people probably couldn't tell you the difference between this and an E450. However, what they don't know is that you have just as much horsepower as a 458 Speciale, and if you go to the track, you would probably annihilate whatever car that they're driving. And that's the great thing about this thing, is it is so understated. And although most car people, like myself, and maybe you included, would instantly recognize this thing even from 200 feet away, most other people wouldn't. And that lends itself to being more livable, because if you've ever driven something like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, you go around town and people will sometimes try to mess with you, take photos and things, disregarding all traffic laws. But in this, yeah, you don't really have that problem in one of these. All right, enough talking. Let's get to the driving portion of our review today. Well, you know what, actually, now that I think about it, since this is a livability review, I think I'd like some coffee before we start our journey. Yeah, because I'd like to test the cup holders. Yeah, very important aspect of this car to test.
There you
Cool.
go.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, have a great day.
Yeah, you too. All right, so far, my drink has fit in the cup holder. It's a good start. But I'm curious, can you do a launch control and not spill your coffee? I think we're gonna have to test that. Okay, so to do a launch mode in this car, it's actually really easy. All we need to do is go down here to this dynamic button on the center console, go into race mode, foot on the brake, foot on the gas, and release. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm sorry for that laugh, but holy crap is this thing fast. As you can tell, my coffee is fine, so this passes the cup holder test. It's very practical. That's why we did that. All right, let's get on with the program now. What is this thing like to drive on a daily basis? I drive this thing in Sport Plus every time I get in it, because if you're buying an E63, why would you drive it in comfort mode? Ponder that for a second. This is an E63. It is meant to be driven and driven hard. So we are in Sport Plus mode right now, and we have a nice straight road, so I'm just gonna floor it. Oh gosh. Oh yeah, that's what this car was made for. It is made for going fast, and it does that very well. The exhaust noise is intoxicating, to say the least. The sound this motor makes is unbelievable. For being a twin turbo 4-liter, it is incredibly loud, even with this stock factory exhaust on it. It is just out of this world. And since we have some corners up here, I guess I'll throw it around here. I'm gonna go into manual mode. Paddle shifters are very responsive. Okay, one thing I'm gonna say is this is a little terrifying. I mean, we're not even going that fast, and this car just feels like it has enough power to get you in a lot of trouble very fast. So I don't think I'm gonna push it much harder than that. I'm not a race car driver. I'm gonna back it off a little bit and just tell you, I am blown away by how much power this car has and its ability to put that power to the ground. I was full throttle back there and absolutely no wheel spin. A lot of that obviously has to do with the fact this has 4MATIC Plus, so it's able to send power wherever it needs it. It's gonna figure it out. If it's starting to slip in the back, it'll send power to the front and it'll take care of you. Another reason why I drive this car in Sport Plus only is because I don't feel like in comfort mode, it's giving you all that much more comfort. Yes, the suspension does soften up a little bit. I mean, all of the little bumps you won't feel, but you're gonna feel all of the big ones. It's not an S-Class. You know, this is a super sport sedan, so the suspension is gonna be a little bit more aggressive. So you might as well drive in Sport Plus mode, because if you're driving around town and you have it in automatic mode, it's gonna hold the revs a little bit higher than, let's say, if we go into comfort mode. Now it's holding the revs just above 1100 RPM. But if I go down to Sport Plus, it downshifts, and now we're at around 2000 RPM. What that'll basically translate to is a little bit better throttle response when you need it, and obviously fewer gears the thing has to kick down in order to get to the gear that you need to go fast. On the note of livability, I'll also say this thing has pretty decent visibility. I haven't noticed any major blind spots while driving this car, and of course it has blind spot monitoring, and these mirrors are actually a decent size. So if you're worried about visibility, the E-Class is definitely up there on the list. And as I'm sitting in my driveway, I realized I was having so much fun doing that driving segment, I forgot to give my final thoughts on the livability of the driving characteristics of the E63s. And overall, I have to say, it's a perfectly fine car to drive every day. It is perfectly comfortable in comfort mode, or even in Sport Plus mode, as I discussed. And it's going to be great for those long trips. You have the massaging seats, you have all the adaptive cruise control features, and it's going to be nice to just take to the office and then come home and then, throw it around some corners if you want to, take a couple of detours. I highly recommend that. It's great therapy, guys. Stick it in Sport Plus, just have some fun. And I also want to mention that comfort mode is an appropriate mode to use. I don't want to dog on it too bad, because it does have cylinder deactivation mode, and because it holds the RPM lower, you will get better fuel economy. So if you're trying to take a long road trip, it might be a good mode to be in. I will say, on my way out to ORP yesterday on the 3-hour drive, I got about 20 miles a gallon. So if you were in comfort mode, you might be able to get a little bit better than that. But I just wanted to mention that. I don't want people to think that I'm an idiot for not thinking that comfort mode was a bad way to go, because it is. It has some advantages. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Well, it's time to answer the question from the beginning of this video. Can you live with the E63s on a daily basis? And the short answer is yes, of course you can. This thing has all of the right ingredients to be a super luxury sedan. You've got massaging, heated ventilated front seats. You have the adaptive cruise control with the lane keeping assist features. And it has a 600 horsepower 4-liter V8 under the hood with all-wheel drive. This thing handles really well. It's decently comfortable considering it's a super sedan, and it's pretty good looking in my opinion. So if this is something that you're looking for, I don't really think you're going to be disappointed when you go out and test drive one of these, because it is just the pinnacle of super sedans. And like I said, I am just such a fan of strapping way too much horsepower to a four-door car. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below if you have any questions regarding this car, because I like to engage with people down there below, because sometimes I'll miss something in the review, so I want to make sure I cover it down there. And if you like my content, please consider subscribing. It helps me out. I'm a small channel, and every little button push on that subscribe button helps me. So please consider doing that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.